recording. I'm going to go ahead and switch you over. You can go ahead and show your screen. And I'm going to start the broadcast.
Alrighty.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, What Dental Labs Need to Know About Intraoral Scanning. Before we get started, I just wanted to work through a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and you will be receiving a copy in an email in the next few days or so. In addition, in that email you'll also receive a link to the CE test with additional information on how to obtain your credit. And finally, at the end of the presentation, we will be having a Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please type them into the questions box that is provided on the right-hand side of your screen. And so with all of that taken care of, I'm going to pass everything over to Chris.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And thank everyone that is taking their time this morning, here this late Wednesday morning, to join us. We most certainly do appreciate it. While we take a look at a little bit, hopefully, that labs need to know about intraoral scanners. We'll start off and share a brief story with you. It was literally the first week of this year, I had 3 different labs call me, and they said they had docs looking at intraoral scanners and were asking for their feedback. I then had this conversation multiple times, really, over the next few weeks, until it got to the point that I had jokingly started saying with labs, and then here at the office, I was dubbing 2015 the year of the intraoral scanner. And then we got into May and June, and I was still having this conversation once a week, really. And it was then that I realized that 2015 was the year of, hey, Chris, 1 or 2 of my docs are looking at intraoral scanners, and they're asking for my feedback. So it's quite possible that 2016 will be the year of the intraoral scanner, but I think we can safely say either way that it is coming. And with that, as a lab industry, I think that we've done a very good job of going digital here over the last couple years. Everybody pretty much has scanners now, and most people have mills, and the few out there that don't have scanners are looking at mills, and the ones with mills and scanners are looking at second scanners, but the clinical side hasn't taken notice as fast. But I think, as we'll see with the manufacturers out there of intraoral scanners, that is where the industry is going. So with that, today we're going to take a look at the top 6 intraoral scanners on the market, some options you have to make sure you are on the list to receive files once your doc has purchased an intraoral scanner, and then what options you have once you start receiving digital impressions. So just a quick agenda. I'm going to do some brief introductions to let you know who's on the call, and then we'll take a look at the intraoral scanners on the market, what labs have to do to get added to intraoral scanners, what to do when you receive a digital impression, a little bit of the workflow, and then my key takeaways, and then we'll have plenty of time at the end for question and answer. So, as I said, my name is Chris Frye. I am the sales manager of the DTS, Digital Technology Solutions Division here at Whipmix. And then I also have Evan Kemper on the line with me today, one of our senior technical service representatives. I rely on Evan quite often for his technical expertise, and I am sure there's quite a few people on the phone today that rely on Evan as well. And while we're on this screen, that is my cell phone number and my email, and I do encourage you to jot both of those down, and feel free to reach out to me at any time. I enjoy talking about this stuff. I will share with you guys. I'm having conversations with labs daily and what they're going through and what they're seeing out there, and that's really where I get most of my information. And so if any of this information can help you guys as you're going through this, please feel free to write this phone number down and give me a call at any time. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So there's really 6 major manufacturers, 5-6 major manufacturers or scanners that are on the market today. You have the 3M True Definition from 3M SB, the Plan Scan, which is from EPs, the Ordita Itero by Align Technology, the Sirona from Sirona Dental, which I'm guessing most of you have probably seen. That is now Dentsply Sirona Dental, an announcement that was made, I saw it yesterday, that will change the landscape. And then the trios from ThreeShape, the Carestream, which is by Kodak, And then there are a handful of others out there. The Condor, which I believe was supposed to hit the market in 2015. I don't know if it has just yet. And then the iOS Fast Scan, the Densys 3D, DPI 3D, 3D Progress, and Direct Scan. I think this just kind of shows you where the manufacturers are and where this market is going. So some keynotes when we are looking at starting with the 3M True Definition, some key points. With the 3M True Definition, you should know that cases are sent directly to the 3M Connection Center. You have the option of downloading an STL file from the Connection Center. With that being said, your first 30 cases, so if you have a doctor that gets a 3M True Def scanner, the first 30 cases that they send, you're actually paired with a margin marking lab that marks the labs for you. And then once you've gone through those first 30 cases, you are then eligible to start marking the margins on your own. And then once the margins are marked, then you can have the option of getting a printed model from 3M. I have played with their printed models. They're kind of they have the look and feel almost of a Lego. They're that plastic material of a Lego, and then they actually snap in and out like the Lego. And then also to note, you have to pay a subscription for these services. I don't know what that subscription is. If when we get to the question and answer, if there's someone that has that is doing that, would like to share with the group, I'm sure it would be appreciated. I just haven't actually asked any of the labs that I have that are using the 3M what they're paying, but it is something to note that to be able to even pull down an STL file from the Connection Center, you do have to be a part of this subscription. And then one other thing to note with 3M, if you do have a doc reaching out to you, asking you questions, it is one of the only scanners, I think there's one or two other ones, it does require a spray in the mouth, so the patient will have to be sprayed. The Plan Scan from E4D, this is typically sold as a package. They call it the Plan Mecha Fit system. It's sold with the Plan CAD design, the Plan Mill 40, and then Romexis software. So it is meant for that in-office scanning, designing, and milling, although it is an open STL. And then the Romexis really is their cloud software for collaboration with third parties. If the doc does not get Romexis, then you can use DDX. There have been problems with exporting STL files out of their Plan Scan, and so E4D will recommend a subscription to DDX, which DDX on the lab side is $1.29 max per case, which is charged to the lab, or they offer an annual web-based service, which is $250 a year on the lab side. And then Plan Scan is powder-free, and it is an open system. The iTero, which is probably one of the intraoral scanners that has been on the market the longest, they just recently have partnered with Plan Mecha and Glidewell, the Glidewell iOS technologies, to offer the same-day or in-house designing and milling as well. You do have the ability with iTero to purchase a milled model from iTero. With that being said, you have to be at least a basic iTero lab. From an iTero standpoint, they have 3 levels that you can choose from. It's a charge of $5,000, $2,500, or $300, depending on the services that you want to get from iTero. But to be an iTero lab, you do have to pay this one-time fee. And as I said, if you were to get the models from iTero, you have to be a basic lab, which is the $300 charge. Ceric by Sirona. They offer 2 types of scanners, the OmniCam and the BlueCam. The BlueCam is the other powdered scanner that's out there. This is more meant, sold with the in-lab. It's more meant for single tooth restorations. And then, we all understand the open system as far as Sirona, and they're open right now as far as receiving files. So they can now accept an STL file, but the files they export are still proprietary and can only be opened by a Sirona system. So I think I know there's been a lot of talk out there as far as them opening up completely. Now, They can be opened and export an STL file, but last I heard that module is $5,000, so that would have to be on either the doctor or the lab side if they wanted to pay that $5,000 module, to be able to open the system up completely, and then at that point in time, it of course would be able to import STL files, but then export an STL file. They do offer physical models to be printed, which they do through Infinite, and then you must use their Sirona Connect system, but although there are no fees with the Sirona Connect. Then the Carestream 3500, this is yet another open architecture system, and it can be purchased with, they now are offering a CAD system and a mill for in-office operation. Again, this mill, the mill that they offer, is really mainly meant for single tooth restorations. And the system is powder free. However, they will tell you they have an anti-reflecting liquid or powder that may be necessary when you're scanning something that is uniform in dimension or highly reflective. So say a standard abutment may need to be sprayed. And then in the future, you'll have to use Carestream Connect to receive digital impressions. I don't believe that's up and running just yet. I'll touch on that a little bit later, or here's a couple slides down. And then with them being an open system, you can use DDX to receive files from them as well, which is just a secure way, really, or any secure way to receive files from the Carestream 3500. And then we have the ThreeShape from Trios, which is full color scanning and shade measurement. The nice thing about ThreeShape, or the Trios, if you are a ThreeShape lab, meaning you have a ThreeShape lab scanner with Dental System Premium or any of the Dental System softwares, you have ThreeShape communicate automatically, which means that you can accept digital impressions from Trios. There's certainly a bonus there, and you will have to become Trios ready, which we can help you with that, or your reseller can help you with that, and I am going to touch on that here in a few slides as well. So, intraoral scanners, they all, as you're seeing, they have their own network and their own way of communicating with third parties. With most intraoral scanners, intraoral scanner and hit send, and then that file, that digital impression, is sent off. And this is part of, really one of my key takeaways that I want you guys to take away with you today. This is really where that relationship with your doctor is going to become very important. In some of these scanners, there's a list of all the labs that are available to receive impressions. So there's multiple chances at this step for the doc, for the dentist, to have a different lab put in, just to select from a lab that is in the drop-down box, if you will, once they're getting that software installed. So there's steps he or she is going to be taking to enter labs into the software or the intraoral scanner, and then there are steps you will need to do to get set up to receive files from your doc. So as I said, that's why this relationship with them is so important at this juncture. So with that, let's take a look at some of the steps that you can take to make sure that your lab's receiving digital files. So with 3M, connecting to their scanner network, you can call 3M at 1-800-634-2249 and actually request your lab be added to the favorites list of your doctor. And just to give you an idea of the workflow with 3M labs, so you can download the case from the 3M Connection Center. And at that point in time, that you would download it to the margin marking software to mark the margins, or to that third party, as we referred to before. Those first 30 cases have to go to a margin marking party. And then these files would be sent back to the Connection Center. So they get downloaded, they get the margins marked, they get sent back to the Connection Center, to where at that point in time they can be converted and then imported into, say, ThreeShape Dental System, ExoCAD, Dental Wings software for the digital design and product of restoration and orthodontic appliances. So that's, it's kind of key to know those steps that are going to take place with the 3M, and that you'll lose control of the case a couple of different times as it's going through its own workflow, if you will, with the 3M Connection Center. And then you can access the Connection Center either at casemanager.3m.com or at connectioncenter.3m.com. To note here, like we had talked about earlier, access to that STL file does require a subscription to the standard lab package. So that's different than just getting a model printed. With the 3M, you have to go into the Connection Center to download the STL, and you do have to have a subscription to the standard lab package just to be able to go in and pull down the STL file. Connecting to the scanner network through PlanScan, doctors save the digital import as an STL and then submit it to the lab via DDX or their Romexis cloud, or with it exporting as an STL, really any secure method. The one important note that I would probably want to share with you on the PlanScan, when they are saving that STL file to export it, you must use the ditch retract margin function. I've had this conversation with a couple different labs I work with that they've told me when they started receiving files from the PlanScan, there were no margins marked, and they weren't able to mark the margins. And there were quite a bit of back and forth between the lab and the clinic on the doc's side to figure out where it was. And it's on the clinic side, and it's whoever is saving the STL, preparing it to be exported, they must use the ditch retract. So if you get into a point where you're starting to receive files from the PlanScan and the margin function, or you don't have any margins, it goes back to how that file was saved. Now the Sirona Network, connecting to the Sirona Network is through the CericConnect.com, and this is one of them, kind of going back as I'm harping on that relationship. In the Sirona system, the dentist can find, or in the Ceric system, I'm sorry, the dentist gets a complete list of all Sirona labs. So their drop-down box will list everybody that is a Sirona lab. So that's why it's important if your dentist does get a system to make sure you're communicating with them. You can have them set you up. It's called My Favorite Lab is what they set it up under in the Ceric system, and they do that under My Accounts. Excuse me. And then files can be transmitted to a central production service to have models made if you were to try to stay in or felt the need to stay in the Sirona network, but that isn't necessary. With the iTero, the doctor, you can have the doc call 1-800-577-8767 and request your lab that's in theirs as well. It's called the Favorite Labs list, and have your lab be added to that list. In the iTero network, from a workflow standpoint, to note, the file is sent to the lab for review. You can make changes to the margin line at that point in time. If you were to stay within the iTero network, you would then have that file, that digital impression that has been changed by you, or if any changes were needed to be made by you, then goes to Cadent to be milled. They mill their models, and then at that point in time, the model is sent back to your lab for final restoration. So connecting the scanner network at Carestream, and this is what I had said earlier, I'm not exactly sure where they are. Communication is going to take place on Carestream's online portal. It's going to be called CS Connect. The last I heard, it is actually still currently waiting regulatory clearance. So I don't believe it is up and running, but when it is up and running, that is going to be their communication platform or their network for communicating with third parties. The Carestream 3500 does export an OpenSTL, so once again, you can use DDX if you have problems, or if you're running into issues receiving an STL file. DDX seems to clean up a lot of problems between the communication files for these open STL files. And then with ThreeShape, the Trios, as I said, you have ThreeShape Communicate. If you're a lab that has the ThreeShape scanner with the dental system software, all you need to do to get set up in order for the clinic to send labs and say, oh, there is some steps you need to take to make sure you're getting the files of the digital impressions. So you'll go to ThreeShapeCommunicate.com, and this is where you register your lab. And one very important note, when you are registering, it's going to ask you to put in an email address. It is very important that you use an email address that is monitored all day, because this is where you're going to receive notification that you have an incoming impression. So make sure, it's the one thing I want to share, make sure you use an important email address, the lab's email address that you're going to be looking at all day. And then once you have registered, and there are steps that you have to go through, but at that point in time, it really comes back on your reseller to take you through those steps. They will then turn around and help get you registered. And then after they've registered you with ThreeShape, that takes approximately 24 hours, and you'll be able to configure your system to start receiving Trios files, and then they'll start walking you through the rest of the process to become Trios ready. One thing that I like about the Trios software, it does not list Trios Ready Labs. I believe they are on the ThreeShape website, but they are not in the Trios software, so you will have to proactively provide your information to the dentist. It can be set up in the Trios system to where once they have completed the scan, very simple, 1 or 2 clicks, and they can get and send the file straight to you, or just pick your lab right there in the drop-down box. But it is one they have to add. Now, if your lab does not have ThreeShape, there are 3 different options with ThreeShape. You can get what is called Trios Inbox Standalone. This just provides you with a communication platform and the ability to receive orders and scans from Trios. You also have the option of buying what is Dental System Premium, which is their full-blown CAD seat. So you would also have, of course, you could accept Trios, but then you would be able to design, use it for CAD for any STL file or from any system. But then there's also Dental System Trios only, and it is a full version of Dental System, so which is very nice. So you're getting full-blown Dental System in terms of designing. The one limit there versus a Dental System Premium, you can only design on scans, receive scans, and design on scans from Trios. But if you have a doc that has gone Trios only, that Dental System Trios only is a very cost-effective way for you to receive files from Trios. So now that you have a digital impression, the doc has sent you a file, and you kind of start to look at what to do from there. So you have the option really of going straight to your design software and designing the restoration and fabricating it. In other words, modelless. And while I think we may be there someday, and I know some labs are doing it now, I think the majority of labs, at least the majority of labs that I talk to, probably 99% of the labs I talk to, if not more, still feel more comfortable working with a model. There are a handful of options currently out there for getting models printed. I will share with you, we took our time, 9 months actually, working on our model printing services before we launched it. We'd gotten our model printer in April of last year, and we didn't launch till January of 2015, and we most certainly did it on purpose, to make sure we got it where we wanted it. We sent out multiple models to labs to be tested, and requested their feedback. And I can tell you the models that we have to offer, they have the look and feel of stone. And that is what the feedback we got, that's what people wanted, and that's why we went that way. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback on our models. And it's just, I love the fact that we took really the feedback from the labs, and that's the route we went. We can accept models, STL files from 3M, PlanScan, Itero, Sirona, Carestream, Trios, as well as Dental Wings. And realistically, as long as it's in an STL file, not sectioned, then we can accept the STL file. But that's something we can get into in the question and answer, or feel free to contact me offline if you want to get a little more into that. When it comes to uploading a file, you can actually see right here on the screen, you go to whipmix.com, so this is our homepage right here, and it's very easy to upload a file to us. With your case information, and then you'll upload it and hit send. We offer Peace of Mind quads and full arches, as well as model builder software services. So we do this for $5. And when I say this, some of you know, maybe aware, the ThreeShape Model Builder module, it's fairly expensive, and even with ExoCAD, to buy the Model Builder module is a purchase. So as you're getting up and running and you're just starting to receive digital impressions, a few times a week, it's a very cost-effective way to allow us to prep the model to be printed for you, and so you don't have to get that module up front. And then also, I will share with you, we have a 2 to 3 day turnaround time, and we ship all cases that are sent in the same day in one box. We do have a $7 shipping charge, but it's not per case. So whatever you send us in that day, as much as we can get in the box, we will get it in the box and get it sent to you. So, from my standpoint, or the way I see it, and as I've kind of said, these are all just based on conversations I'm having. There's many reasons for the dentist to get an intraoral scanner. One of the main reasons I like is for the communication between the doc and the lab. You take a look at this screen, and you can see the steps that are eliminated when a dentist is taking a digital impression. But the communication, as you can see, it is almost immediate. And you can see a scenario where literally the doc takes an impression, he sends it to his lab, the lab almost instantly receives an email that they have a new case. They can then download or open the file and check the accuracy of the impression while the patient is still in the chair. And it's this type of immediate communication that benefits the patient, the lab, and the doc. On top of that, just the ability to share and collaborate on cases. You take the Trios, it takes HD photos, so the ability for the doc and the lab to really communicate back and forth, it's beneficial really to everyone involved. So as we're wrapping up, I'll give you my key takeaways, and really I feel the key is to communicate. There's many different reasons for this. Make sure that your dentist is putting your lab as the contact in his or her intraoral scanner. I will share with you, I've had a couple labs whose docs went out and got intraoral scanners, and they just felt that the doc wasn't using, or they just figured, I should say, that the doc just wasn't using the intraoral scanner. And it wasn't that at all. It was that whoever set up the intraoral scanner, and there are labs out there that have sales reps that are trained to install the different systems, and so at the time of setup, they're putting their lab in, and that's why, when I say it's one of my key takeaways, just remember it. Now's the time to communicate with your doc and make sure that your lab gets put in his intraoral scanner. And on top of that, go to the websites, and I know each and every one of you is busy and there's not a lot of time in the day for this, but if you're out on the internet at night, go to the websites of these scanners and see what it takes to get your lab listed. Go through that registration process, go through the steps to accept digital impressions. I can share with you, if you take, say, iTero, which if you go to iTero's website, they list all the iTero labs on their website. And if you look at the state of Kentucky, here where Whitmix is headquartered, there's 3 iTero labs listed in the state of Kentucky. And with that, one of them is the University of Louisville. So really, there's only 2 labs listed. So if a doc's in the state of Kentucky and he goes on the iTero lab list, he's going to see his options, or the way he's going to see it is his 2 options in the state of Kentucky. If it's a lab, or it's a doc, here in Kentucky, he's going to see those as the 2 options for places for him to send iTero cases. So that's, just to give you an example, it shows you the importance of making sure you have the ability to accept these digital impressions, and that your doc gets you in there, or is sending you these digital impressions. With that, as I had said, in the very beginning when we were opening, please contact me with any questions, guys. Any of the questions you have on the material we've shared today, our model printing services. I just really enjoy talking about all of this material. So as I said, write my cell phone number down and reach out to me at any time. And Evan, I can always have him to fall back on to answer any technical questions. And really, everybody here at Whitmix, we've been helping the dental lab industry for almost 100 years. We want to continue to help as we move into our next century, and that's what please feel free to reach out at me at any time. And then to close, before we get into question and answers, I will let you know we have an upcoming event. It's our 4th annual digital forum. Will be October 8th and 9th here at our headquarters. And as you can see, this is, as I said, this is our 4th annual. 4 years ago, it was just 4 short years ago with that. Why go digital and looking at digital? And as you can see now, it's getting the most out of your digital business. So that's where our industry is. On the lab side, we've changed. We're there. The clinical side is coming along. So it's going to be another great forum. We've got several speakers lined up. Information on 3D printing, which is near and dear to my heart. Marketing your digital lab. I think it's something that we're doing different this year that I think is going to be very strong. I think a lot of labs are going to be interested in. RPD design, I think it was certainly a conversation I'm having on a regular basis. It's coming along. So mark this on your calendar, and most certainly, I think I'll step out and say I don't think anybody, Whip is the hostess with the mostest. Nobody does it like we do. So please put this on your calendar, and if you're able to, most certainly join us. And with that, I'm going to open up our panel. I know, as I said before, Sarah's still with us, and we have Evan Kemper on the line. So if there are any questions, please throw them out there now. And I want to thank everybody for it. Thank you. I will throw it out there as just wanted to see if everybody can hear Sarah. If you are having problems with Sarah, you can put that in your chat box to let us know. And if we are having any audio problems and you have a question, you can type that message on the in your box on the right-hand side of your screen. It would say type message here. So, good question. We have one question. It says, what price do you charge for a printed model? Our Peace of Mind is $7. Our quad is $8. And then our full arch is $16. That is just for that would be just for the upper or lower. So if you wanted the upper, say you wanted an upper and lower quad, it would be $16. And that includes one die. And then $2 for each additional die. My phone number, somebody asked my phone number, is area code 513-680-1512. Somebody has asked, what have you found to be the most widely used intraoral scanner by dentists? I would say right now it's probably the iTero or CEREC. iTero because it's been on the market the longest, and the CEREC because dentists would try to do the whole same day in office piece. And it is biggest in schools, so they're touching it before they get out and start practicing. How do you get the STL files from Sirona? Is a question that I have. That is a module that you have to purchase from Sirona. The last I was told, this was just approximately 2 months ago, so this is fairly recent information, that is a $5,000 purchase from Sirona, and it will open up their models or open up their system and allow it to export STL files. I have another question. What is the turnaround time for printed models? So it's approximately 2 to 3 days, and I'll share this with you. A lot of it has to do with what time you get the model in. If you get the model into us before 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, it's probably going to go into that evening's print run, which means it will be post-processed in the morning and go out the next day. Now there are some factors there that play in, as meaning how many quads or full arches or models that we have on the trays, but it's approximately 2 to 3 days. And we ship, if you get it in by 2 o'clock, we print it that evening, we'll ship it out 2 days the next day. So that's your 3 days. Yes, Sean, you can receive a test model for review. If you could, jot my number down again. It's 513-680-1512, and give me a call, and I will get you a test model. Yes, everyone will receive a copy of today's presentation. That will be emailed out to you. There is a question on obtaining CET or the CE units for this. That will be part of the email. So you will get your CE credits, and then the follow-up email we send you is how you will receive those CE credits. We have a question. How is Dental Wings intraoral scanner? I have yet to get my hands on it. I don't even know if it's out. They've been saying that it's going to be. I think it's supposed to be launched every year, and they've been saying that for quite some time, that it's going to be launched this year. And I've seen pictures of it, but nothing more than pictures of it. I've seen, and I have yet to talk to a lab that has received any files. So technically, I don't even think it is on the market yet. We have another question. It says, for a dentist mostly doing single crowns and wants a simple system so his staff is not overwhelmed to send STL files to the lab, is there a scanner you recommend? I will tell you, Trios is coming. They're coming out with a practice lab, and okay, it's going to be similar to Sirona's. It's for all full contour. I'm getting some information from Evan right now. So this is something that was from John. John, if you want to, again, reach out and contact me, and then I will get you some information on that. I have another question. It says, does the Trio scanner have the implant scan bodies for the dentist yet? They do. That's something that's been out for a while, but it depends on the implant manufacturer. Okay, whether they have made an compatible intraoral scan body. Any more questions, guys? Some very good questions. Again, I appreciate you guys bringing some questions to the table. That always makes it easier for us. So with that, we're going to go ahead. I don't see any more coming in, so we will go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank Sarah for putting this together, and Evan sitting in technically, and most certainly all of you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day today to join us. I hope you got some good information out of this, and as I've said a couple times on the call, please reach out to me at any time. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. Thank you.